Okay, I just wanted to talk a little bit about foreclosures and kind of produce the note technology. Uh, but first, I think people should understand that attorneys and our bar attorneys are basically cockroaches, and they are what you might refer to as corporate yes men, and about 70% of our politicians and legislators are actually bar attorneys. Um, So, what is an attorney that is a member of the Bar Association? BAR, it's an acronym. And some people, there's a little confusion on what it actually stands for, but it's British Accredited Registry or Regency, British Accredited Regency or Registry. They are employees of the court system, which is a corporation of the United States, which is also a corporation. And they have only loyalty to the courts. They are sworn by oath to uphold the procedure, not the constitutional law of the court system first. Always above your needs. They are there to assure that the court doesn't make any mistake in its legal procedure where you might win your case, and they are there to ensure continued taxation by fees and decisions. All these court, anytime you go to court, it's really just a tax on you. They're trying to gain access to your exemption account and get paid. So never hire a bar attorney. I'm not an attorney and I don't offer legal advice, but um, and it might be good advice. By accepting a bar attorney to represent you in court, you are literally assigning all your rights away and admitting incompetence to represent yourself, making you a ward of the court due to mental incapacity. The only exception is an attorney who is not a member of the Bar Association. But what will really blow your mind is that most devastating element of the bar attorney is that the Bar Association is located in London, England. Even more scary is that a small part of London that houses Parliament and the House of Commons, the Crown, and the Bar Association is not part of England or London, but a completely separate state or country, or basically a corporation, as is Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, and the Vatican in Rome. And these are all independent corporate states. This ultimately means that an attorney takes an oath to the Queen or the Crown of England, meaning the Queen and all that she represents. And since judges aren't really judges, they're actually attorneys, you know where their loyalty lies as well. So, you go back and you study history and you'll understand that it's all about banking and money in this country. In the War of 1812, the British actually came back in and burned down all the government buildings and took control of the court system at that time. And that's how they tax the American public. It's through the court system. And these judges get paid very well for their deception, too. I don't think there's just kind of a lowly, traffic ticket court judge who, would retire with anything less than $30 million in the bank. And these guys are paid very well. So about 70% or higher government officials are actually attorneys who have sworn allegiance to the Crown, who owns the United States Corporation and runs the bar, which is the British Accredited Registry. The original 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States says, if any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, retain any title of nobility or honor, or shall, without the consent of Congress, accept and retain any present pension, office, or emolument or of any kind whatsoever from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power, such person shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and shall be incapable of holding office in the trust, profit under them, or either of them. It was originally written in 1810, and much debate has ensued as whether this amendment was ratified or not. Most constitutional scholars say yes, and point to the Senate's journal for proof of its ratification. Of course, after reading this amendment, you would say no. The answer is the corporation that is running the show, whose loyalties and oaths lay with the Crown and Queen of England, and not with the people under the United States Constitution. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, all capital letters, is the Abolition of Slavery Amendment. But remember that this is not the real Constitution for the United States, which serves a Republic of America, and by which all sovereign individuals who live in God-given freedom adhere to. So if you're not aware of this, after the Civil War ended, the guy posing as the President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, see how the southern states representatives never came back to Congress, so that basically ended the whole Union right there at that point. So the federal government had no standing at that point, and everything would have just went back to separate states, and states were basically countries. So what they did is they took the Constitution and they used that as their corporate charter, basically. So they redid it, and so now and Lincoln was the first one to issue executive orders. So it tells you right there they went under a corporation footing, and everything progressively as they sold us into this system through adhesion contracts. But what I want to get into now is how money is created, and do you own a home, or do you own a car, or do you have a credit card or a student loan? Well, all of these different types of debt began with you filling out a promissory note, which is basically a contract. And when this is submitted to the bank, and after an approval process, you receive that money by signing this contract, and the bank tells you quite dishonestly that you owe them a debt for the amount of money, and gives you permission to authorize the payment of that loan over a set period of time, usually 30 years for a mortgage. But they also charge interest for this convenience service, and that means by the end of the 30 years you're probably paid double, if not triple, what the actual loan amount, the original loan amount was. And talking about the promissory note. See, there's one thing the bank is not telling you. One very big piece of the puzzle. According to the Federal Reserve Bank, and printed in their banking rule books, Modern Money Mechanics, money is created when a person, you, signs a contract or the promissory note with the bank. See, it's not a dual contract. It's you signing it because you're an authorized representative of the corporation. You're the paymaster, and anytime you sign something, they take it to the Fed window, and the banks get the money for that, and they give it to you, and then you have to pay them back the interest. That's how it really works. You may have heard of the produce the note technology out there for people that are in foreclosure. So produce the note. It's a valid request. It simply means that you're requesting the original contract or the promissory note that was signed by yourself and the foreclosing bank when the money was created and given to you to buy the house. The bank cannot ever produce a note, and here's basically why. The bank sells your note, the promissory note, or the deed to the Federal Reserve the minute you sign it, and the Fed then gives the bank the amount that it then loans to you. So do you understand that? The note that you sign is the money. They take it to the Fed turns around and issues the credit to the bank, and the bank issues the actual green paper to you, or the check. The problem is that banks, so just by that fact, the banks no longer hold the title of their note to your home, because they've already sold it for face value to the Federal Reserve. And in order for the creditor, the bank, to make a claim against a debtor, which is you, they must, in a court of law, show proof of their claim to collect your supposed debt owed to them. However, the only proof and claim for the foreclosure of your home is the fact that the original note that was signed, which created the money that enabled the bank to give you the loan in the first place, money out of thin air, doesn't exist, or they don't have it. Remember, money is created only when you or I sign a contract to get credit. It's the very fact that all the information is not disclosed to us that makes the contract null and void. Full disclosure must accompany any contract, lest it be invalid and unlawful. So your loan contract was sold to the Federal Reserve, a private corporate central bank, by the bank or mortgage company with whom you signed your contract. It's gone, vanished, it's paid off. The Federal Reserve then bundles those deeds and those notes, contracts, and sells them as securities and bonds on the open market, and they sell a lot of them to China, Russia, or whoever else will buy them. So in essence, China may already own the title to your home, or they think they do. And this is why banks have no lawful grounds to foreclose on you. They do not hold the lawful lien on your house. You owe nothing to anybody. You created the money legally through the bank and the Federal Reserve by accessing your trust account assigned to you by the United States Corporation when they took your freedom and liberty and put your wealth and property at risk starting on the day you were born or birthed. The principal and interest you pay to the bank is pure profit for over the next 30 years because you signed a contract saying that you would pay that amount with your home and land as collateral. But for the contract to be lawful, there must be full disclosure of these little facts. Since this was obviously not disclosed to you, all of this mortgage and other contracts are null and void. The bank has no contract, no proof or claim against your debt, and no rights to force you to pay any of them. So, you know, some people say, well, this sounds like a cop-out. No, it really isn't. This is how modern money mechanics works. This is the system that we're living in. Everything was taken. Everything is already paid for. There's no money to pay anything. It's all debt. And anyway. So hopefully that'll give you a little information to start looking into this. You can go to my blog, stopthepirates.blogspot.com, for more information on Produce the Note technology and a lot more information. If you're going to move forward in this corporate system, which I'm not saying it's bad or it's good, you have to know what we're dealing with here. You have to know what to do when you go to court and who the actors are and what's happening in there. Because if you don't, you're just you're meat on the table. And don't be naive and think, well, I'm a good person and I try to do things right, and it doesn't matter. These people don't care. So fight the system. If you're looking at losing your home, you have to stand up and fight. Because if you don't, like I said, you're going to be meat on the table, and it's not that difficult. You got nothing to lose. I understand most people don't want to buck the system because they don't understand the system or how the Constitution for the United States was set up to ensure this type of unlawful action, like bank foreclosure, can never, be done to us. But it takes a long time. There's a learning curve involved, and this is how freedom works. If you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. I guess that's basically all I want to go over right now. But the Produce the Note technology, it's not that difficult. And there again, they don't have it, and that makes the contract fraudulent. Anyway, I have this and all kinds of other good information. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Thanks.